Welcome back to the Smart Driving Cars podcast. Thank you for being with us. This edition is made possible by CARTS, the Corporation for Automated Road Transportation Safety, a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to safe and high-quality mobility for all. I'm Fred Fishkin, along with the Faculty Chair of Autonomous Vehicle Engineering at Princeton University, Alain Kornhauser. Hi, Alain.
Good morning, Fred. And it's April. Oh, my goodness. And a beautiful day here in Jersey.
It is, and we are happy to have with us from Baidu, the General Manager of Apollo Autonomous Driving USA, Helen Pan. Hi, Helen.
Hi, Fred. It's great to be here. Thank you for inviting me to join this talk.
Very happy to have you, Helen.
And also with us today is Jerry Hudd, the Executive Director of CARTS Mobility. Hi, Jerry.
Hi, everyone.
Jerry's going to be joining us a bit more later on to talk about the upcoming Smart Driving Cars Summit. Well, Helen, you've joined Baidu's Intelligent Driving Group back in 2017. You had previously worked at Waymo, Google X, Intel, and Keysight. To begin with, give us an overview of the work that the Apollo Self-Driving Group at Baidu is doing.
Hi, Fred and Alan. For Baidu Apollo USA, we are focused on the autonomous driving technology, and we developing this new technology, trying to bring the mobility to the society and to be able to provide the driverless technology to the overall.
Well, Helen, tell us more about where the testing that you're doing is taking place today.
There are 3 cities we are starting in Wuhan, Chongqing, and Beijing.
And tell us about it. You're operating robo-taxis, and do they have attendants or safety drivers?
Oh, that's a great question. Actually, we have operating in more cities, but mainly in this, we operate in 11 cities, and mainly in these 3 cities, we're actually providing the driverless service to the public. And we recently removed the safety driver from the vehicle, and now we have a rider-only service in Chongqing, Wuhan, and Beijing.
Can you tell us more about how many vehicles are involved in this program, and more about the kind of testing, how this works? Is this open to the general public?
Oh, yeah. Actually, in Wuhan, we are starting to have 100 vehicles, and we targeting to serving the largest area in globally. And so in this, we have been to go open to the public. And back to the December, we already accumulated more than 1 million ride to the public. And as today in the March, we'll reach 2 million riders to the public. And we're trying to introduce this new mobility technology to the society and then let them to be able to try out the new technology and provide us the feedback. So far, we already gathered more than a lot of feedback. Roughly about 94% or more give us 5 stars. And in overall, we have the 5 point is the total score, and we actually received the consumer's rating 4.9. It was really high score, and we're very glad in China the population and the residents in there actually really enjoying this new service Baidu was offered to them.
And are they paying passengers, or is this a test mode where people are not paying yet for these rides?
It is paying customer, but we give heavily discount. Yeah.
Alan, do you want to join in?
Yeah. I guess we've been involved in this technology for now some time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at least this piece of it, at least I like to say we started with the DARPA challenges. Other people might assess some other starts, but that was mid-2000. So it's now getting on to 20 years, and we've had enormous expectations. When one looks at the DARPA challenges, they changed the mindset, and the mindset of automation. Instead of putting a lot of technology in the roadway, it became obvious to everybody that oh my goodness, let's just put the technology in the vehicles and not ask anything from the roadway. because otherwise, to build a business out of this, you're forced to have a vehicle and a roadway. And as many of us tried for 40 years prior to the DARPA challenges, building the roadway that would accept the automated vehicle proved impossible. Impossible. I mean, we built 3 systems in the world. None of them expanded. None of them started and grew, let alone achieve scale. And even though we studied them in New Jersey, my goodness, with students, we built networks that we designed networks on a computer, of course, 10,000 stations, 10,000 miles of guideway, provide fabulous mobility basically to everybody in New Jersey. And of course, if you put it in the exclusive roadway, safety's not trivial, but really easy. And it never got anywhere. Why? Because the guideway would have cost $250 billion. Who knows what? Not even the Chinese government could have afforded it. And the number of meetings one would have had to go in communities to get permission to build a guideway past somebody's bedroom window was. we were just, I don't want to say stupid, but we were naive. Wasn't going to happen. And the beauty of the DARPA challenges was, oh my goodness, why not use the roadways that are out there already and just sneak on with a couple vehicles? I mean, you work at Waymo. That's what Waymo did. What they do, they had like 2 vehicles, just went out there in Nevada. Nobody knew. I mean, I actually took the Princeton vehicle that we had in the 2005 challenge, and I went down to I-5 with it. Went down the Vegas Boulevard. I mean, they would have thrown me in jail if they would have caught me. But the idea was that all of a sudden you had an opportunity to put the intelligence in the vehicle and then just use the roadways that are there. So all of a sudden, the $250 billion that you needed to do to build a system that might serve everybody in Jersey, you didn't have to do. But now here we are, almost 20 years. And we read that you're making great progress in China. And that's why we have you here, is that us to understand that here in the US, we're nowhere. I mean, poor General Motors Cruise is out there. I don't think I've seen a positive article about their operation in any newspaper. Everybody's complaining about who knows what. Waymo was doing tests on a cul-de-sac in San Francisco. Why would you test in a cul-de-sac in San Francisco? I guess because you want to provide service to that cul-de-sac. People who live there called the cops on them. And so, where we are here in the United States, I don't know what we'll try to talk with you and what your aspirations are to bring the Baidu technology to the US and provide the fantastic mobility that all these systems are supposed to provide, that we all dream about, that we all think can provide economic and societal benefit, improve the quality of life of New Jerseyans, improve the economic competitiveness of New Jersey. We can't even get anybody paying any attention to come to New Jersey. Nobody's even come.
Oh, it's a great state.
It's a great, people say to us it's a great state. We're out here begging, or maybe it's just me and Jerry, and me, Jerry and Fred. I don't know, the 3 of us. oh my goodness, here we are. We've talked to the people of New Jersey, at least certain kind of people,
Mhm.
and they want to give you 6 stars, not just 5 stars.
Mm.
But nobody's. So we're really frustrated here, and that's why we really want to talk with you. Is to really, how do we do this so that it's not what we tried to do with things like personal rapid transit and automated mobility with guideways since 1970.
Mm.
Maybe 68 even, one could even think, and got nowhere. They didn't even build one in China. Well, that was before China, whatever. 1968, China was a little different. But anyway, so how in China you're providing mobility to customers where the vehicle shows up empty. They get in, they go someplace, they get out, and the vehicle is then empty again, and it goes someplace and serves somebody else. Correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. Oh, I want to
So how do you do that? What is the operational design domain? What's the oversight that you provide on this because the critical thing here in the US is everybody's worried about safety, which we should be. Okay. How do you do it? Can you tell us your secret? We're all dying to learn the secret because that is just a non-trivial thing to do.
yes, that's absolutely true.
So we want to hear about it. I mean, how do you do it?
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Alan. Actually, I started working on it after, I think, after the DAPA challenge on the DAPA actually hosts 2 challenges. One challenge on the open field, another challenge in the city. And both of them were pretty successful. Actually light up the industry to seeing this potential to have the
absolutely.
Yeah, that's why I think the early stage Google jumped in right after this challenge, and they hired the professor from Stanford, and then starting this Google X, this secret project. When I joined, actually is already more than 200 engineers working on this project, and it's I have to see a couple of things. There are a group of people, not just me, and also some my old colleague, my current colleague, and many of us has been extremely passionate about this new technology. And I've been working it almost 8 years. And there are many of them working them longest, probably starting in their graduate school, 16 years or 12 years, the longest. So which is many of them actually, when you're working for a particular field for such a long time, you actually have really believing it and passionate about it. And as you mentioned about it, it's definitely not an easy task. When I joined this project, I just getting really excited. I thought, oh, there's more than 200 engineers working on it. I might be joining too late. And later on, after so many years passed, I finally realized I never joined late. I joined too early, which is address your challenge. It was really, really extremely challenging task. That's why it take extremely long time. And at this stage, because we've been running more like running for marathon and running for a very long time, and reaching to the point, a lot of times people starting to losing the confidence. But I think there still have a lot of us working there in the industry has extremely passionate about it. And also as more years pass by, we see the promise and we see the breakthrough. Like the recently, the LLM, large language model, everybody knows the new wave about ChatGPT and what it can do showing the AI technology. And I think one of the pioneer was a scientist and was saying, last week, actually, was pointed out. If you ask him before, they would say the AGI, artificial general intelligence, take another 20 to 40 years. But now, if you ask me, I would say less than 20 years. And if somebody will tell me it will happen in 5 years, I believe so. It could be. So which is, I want to say, it definitely is extremely challenging because this technology we bring to the society is top number one, is safety first. And also it is also Baidu Apollo's principle, safety first, as our the top priority. As when we're doing this, and there's also regarding the transportation and touch everybody's day-to-day life. So because that one, actually we take extremely cautious with a lot of simulations and closed field venue testing, and then all the methodologies to do the test, and then gradually open to the public. Even when we open to the public, we also starting with the geo-fenced as well with the safety driver. And then when we build up our confidence and we have tons of enough of the testing result, then we're starting to remove the safety driver. And as today, one other challenging we have is the government policy. And we also only can operate in certain regions. And also we also have time limitation as well with the government control. They want to make sure we be able to provide this technology to society to bring the safe to everybody. So that's why I think in the it takes time to make this technology ready to be able to bring to the society. It's not a short journey. And also, as we only going to these 3 cities, we are also in a certain region of the city, not all the cities everywhere. And I think with more and more time, we continue to boosting this technology, and we'll see the more adaptation. Another thing I want to also mention in here is sorry to interrupt you, maybe have a question, but another dimension I want to see, actually globally, roughly about the 3 major regions is geared towards autonomous driving. So US and Asia and Europe. So in here, there's one of the thing very unique in China is in the past 30 or 40 years, it was a lot of changes in the country. And the generations will grow up in this period, and the living experiences changes a lot. I was born in China, and when typically people say you have a generation gap, it's about 10 years. Like I have my generation gap with my children's. And in China, they saying this generation gap is 3 years. So that means 40 years or 30 years, you look at it as more than 10 generations and 13 generations. That's a huge number. Because of that reason, so they are more open to new technology. They actually use back to the new things happen around them. And because with this, they are be able to see they are more willing to try the new technology. That's maybe the adaptation is more openly in China. That's what I see. And in US, I think it's also society has a lot of innovations and pioneer in here. So I do see what you're seeing on the newspapers. They are trying to writing some any little thing happen to the competitor like Waymo and Cruise will be show up in the news. But if you look at the overall performance from their latest development, it was pretty good. It's not really the people working in this field seeing a lot of their progress and also seeing a lot of their performance is closer to the human behaviors. And actually, if you look at the true numbers, I think it's safer to the generation, the general of the general drivers.
What are
Well,
Baidu's
well,
plans in the U.S.? I think Alan, you were asking about that. What are the ambitions here?
Fred, before we get to that, I'd like to also comment. I of course agree with everything you say. I mean, absolutely. And I just want to throw in there that I had the fantastic pleasure of visiting China in November 1978. It's one of the first scholarly exchanges with China, and so and I have enormously fond memories of my travels, and I've traveled to China many times since, and so absolutely, it's amazing. The change, absolutely. But I guess what I'd like to get back to the tough thing with this technology is not the asymptotic vision into the future as to all the great that it can do. I think it's been obvious to many of us for a very long time that we're there. The issue is that we're tripping over ourselves trying to get started. And getting started and relating back to technologies with guideways, personal rapid transit and so on, unfortunately, we never got started. We can never get started. Here, the struggle is getting started. And the operational design domain of where you start is really important, as you pointed out. I guess what I and I think our viewers would like to understand is not where this is going to go X years from now and save the world. We know what that is. What operational design domain did you start in? Where are you started? What are the hours of operation? How did you decide on the geofence limits? And it's really not geofencing. We know it's not, hey, this area, it's really streets, intersections, network, connectivity to pickup points. Those are the important pieces. Doesn't mean you operate. I hope you don't say, hey, I'm going to take this area, I'll operate on all the streets. I don't know. I mean, I think that's, and what we're struggling with here in the US, I believe, is trying to find a place where we can start and be enormously successful, not only in terms of safety, because that's a necessary requirement that we don't crash, but also as a business case, that we have a customer who actually cherishes the mobility that we put out there. And that customer is a repeat customer. Why is that necessary to have a repeat customer? Because customer acquisition, I don't know what it is in China, but it must be the same thing it is in the United States. It's expensive. And what you want is somebody who's going to come back and come back and come back, because what are you in the business of providing? Mobility. You're not selling this and then they take it home and use it. I don't think. Okay. I mean, all the car companies, Ford said, I guess with Argo, they were going to make this and people were going to go buy it and take it home. It's what they decided. There's no business there. They closed it down. Okay. Probably realizing that if they sell one of these to me, oh my goodness, they're in trouble. Probably or I'll never buy it. But my understanding is you're in the mobility business. You're getting a ride from somebody to somebody who has certain desires to go from here to there at a certain time. And they go there and you offer that to them at a price. And they say, great, I want to buy it. I think we would love to know here in the US what that is. What are they buying? Is it really an Uber ride or a DD ride? Is it really that takes you to, that's the equivalent of taking you to Newark Airport? I don't believe it. Whenever I took my wife to Newark Airport recently, like an Uber driver, and dropped her off, the amount of intelligence that I thought I had to apply to be able to make it to door 3, level 3, terminal C, Newark Airport, and negotiate all the crazies that were there, ChatGPT can't do it. My view. So is that the market that you're really serving? You're doing that? Or is it something else? You haven't told us. I would love to give me an example of a customer that you've served repeatedly in China that every other day says, I want to use you to do this. Who's the customer? How are they, what are they using? Can you tell us?
Oh, okay. I was really too good to hear this question. So in here, actually, what I see is this way. There are a lot of customer actually very interested in this new technology. Of course, many of them actually just want to try out to see. They take more like they uploading their videos to the online and to show, and you can search the internet and you can find out a lot of them try out.
No, I don't want to interrupt you.
Okay.
But to me, that's not a customer. That's not a customer. I don't want to give you advice, but that's not a customer that I think you should want. Why? Because it's one and done. You've had to get that customer, do that. They do their selfie. They put it out there. They tell their mother in the world, and they don't come back. Now, if you tell me they come back and they then use you every day, I want to hear about that. I want to hear where they're coming from, where they're going to, and what that is. Because if this is going to be a business, which I can't imagine Baidu's into anything that isn't going to be a business. I understand there are other objectives in China, and we have other objectives here than just a business. But this is supposed to be a business. I think that people say, hey, here, you want so much money, good, and you give discounts, great. And I hope they're not too great, so that you still at least can see that you're going to be able to at scale to be able to have enough productivity out of one of these vehicles to be able to survive. Because otherwise it's goodbye. It's Ford Argo. So please, sorry to
no, I understand the point. Yeah,
this is what I think our listeners would like to know, because we haven't seen it written. GM Cruise hasn't told us who that is. Neither is Waymo. Okay, they could tell us that they've gone however million miles. They've told us essentially nothing about the customer and how that customer has been a customer who, you're not going to make very much on a single ride. Therefore, the only way to make it a business is to scale it. So a lot of it. Okay. Right? I mean, Lyft and Uber and Didi may not make it because they're not serving enough rides. Are any of them profitable yet? I don't know. We should bring them on and ask them that, Go.
Yeah, that's a really great point. Yeah, eventually it has to go through the scaling. Yeah, address your question. In the early stage, because this is a new technology, we get a lot of catch people's eyes to starting trying it out. But as a beginning point, but in long runs, we exactly like you mentioned, we need a long term for the customer who is a local resident and coming, go to work and come home, only going to run some errand and to buy some from grocery store. And we want to attracting the people to taking the robot taxi as regular customer.
Visit friends, yes. Do the normal things we do with our car, or walk. Sometimes it's too far to walk. So talk to me about how you're doing that. Okay. Yeah.
So we are, as I mentioned, in Wuhan, we have like 100 vehicle operating in driverless operation, and with a starting point. And everybody actually now in the whole industry is a starting point, trying to try out. We're trying to be able to see how we'll be able to reach there. So a couple of things as mentioned, it's not really about vision. Actually, it's starting to happening. So when we deliver the autonomous driving technology, we bring the safety. We targeted to get more safer than the human. And because that reason, and we be able to overcome of the human, like a human fatigue and the human drunk. The computer doesn't get drunk, computer doesn't get fatigue most timely. Yeah. And if there malfunction, we have the fallback system. We have triple safety system to be able to ensure it's always operating in the right mode. And because that, so we are be able to provide the safer of the ride. Another thing we can address to the to the society who has not been able to get this kind of capability. And we're trying to address to the younger generations and younger, and also we are targeting for the elders as well with the disabilities, and be able to serve all of them with this freedom. That's why we call mobility, moving from one point to another point. Another thing is the sustainability. We're trying to make sure it's the ergo safety is, make sure we all use electrical vehicle. With the electrical vehicle, we're trying to make the urban environmental or safe. On top of that one, and be able to providing this service to the society. And we build up their habit. We're trying to use this service introduced to, in Wuhan, we actually currently can address about 1.5 million populations range, even in a geofence location, and we'll be able to reach out this much population. And another little bit of thing compared to the US and China, the population density in China is much of a condensed compared to the US. So in here, it maybe have better of the service required be able to serve. So in this way, we hopefully to be able to build up this capability in the society and then to try out and to come out our business model. And as this way, and eventually, actually, if you try out the autonomous driving, and you will be able seeing actually we actually can be able to be more efficient. I mean, efficient means we can deliver from point A to point B actually with better than a human driver like Uber or Didi.
Yeah.
That's how we be able to compete.
So yeah. Your competitor is Didi. Is that correct?
No. We are actually we can be partner. Yeah, I don't see.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
So if you've taken so many riders, you told us you've given 2 million rides. Is that right? You said
we reached about 2 million rides. Yeah.
2 million. Whatever the number. Whatever the number is. Okay. Yeah. I mean, things that I would like to ask you, and I don't know that you'll answer them. Okay. 2 million rides. How many different people does that cover? Is it 2 million? Everybody rode once? How many people rode once? How many people have taken 2 rides? How many people have taken 3 rides? How many people have taken 4 rides? How many people have taken 5 rides? What's that distribution? That's what I would like to know. Or that's what, because if the service that you're providing out there to the marketplace is being consumed by the market, chosen independently, that's the way I want to go. I don't want to take Didi. I don't want to walk. I don't want to take the subway. I don't want to take a VTOL, who knows what. I want you. Okay. Okay. You know, in the operational design domain, this is what we're struggling with here. Okay. Here in New Jersey, we've done our simulations and so on. We think you bring 100 vehicles in here, we're going to give you productivities that each of those vehicles is going to serve 100 person trips a day, 100 a day, each vehicle. And the average vehicle occupancy and so on, shared ride, because of the kind of mobility and so on that we're offering, there's such a demand for it that in fact, average vehicle occupancies approaching 3. Okay. What are your average vehicle occupancies? And so on. There, if you then do that in an operational design domain, you have a business. Why? Because the mobility that you're offering and the people that you're offering it to, heaven forbid, unfortunately, they don't own a car. Otherwise, they'd be taking it. They're probably, a number of them are under 18 or 16 or whatever the age is in New Jersey to get a driver's license. Some of them are old. Very few of them care that this thing is automated. They better not, because in the beginning, they're probably going to be afraid of it. Okay. It's, they care about going from A to B at time T when they want to go. When the bus comes that doesn't take them, that's why they don't take the bus. Not when the subway comes and doesn't go where they want to take them or come from where they are. I mean, otherwise they're walking. Okay, those are the customers we think we have in New Jersey waiting for one of these systems. Those are real customers because they'll use you almost every day. Sure, there'll be some that use you one and done, but all of a sudden you provide a service that changes their lives, allows them to get to a job. So apparently you're doing that with your 100 vehicles in the service. We'd like to understand, what does that service look like? Do you pick them up at the doorstep and take them to the doorstep? Is that what you do? Do you do shared rides?
Okay.
Do you offer it 24/7? Do you only offer it from certain places to certain places where they have to then come to and then go to? Do you allow somebody else to share with them? I don't think you've expressed that or written that anywhere. Excuse me for not searching completely. I should have asked ChatGPT if you did that. I know, never mind. That's a silly comment. Okay, but really, this is what we're trying to understand, because right now, as we look at those who are trying to do this in the U.S., they've not found a market, they've not found a repeat customer, they've not found anybody that wants to do it for anything more than a selfie. And that's why this technology in the U.S. right now is close to dead. Okay, my humble opinion. And I've been in this for more than 50 years. So, you know, but whatever that means, I guess I'm old and senile.
Yeah. Oh, if you're 40 years, you're much longer than me, and you already know, actually you're still in this field. That means you already have a lot of passion about it.
Of course I do. I mean, I live and breathe this stuff. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I can share you some of the data I have on hand. So
Please,
give you some of the, actually it's a really good point. The major point, so there are a couple of things if you want to make a business. So you'll be able to make a profit and you could be able to generating revenue. So one thing you already mentioned about is scaling. We have really scale up. That's another thing you also mentioned about. The major thing we really care about it is if we can be able to let the customer continue to use our service. Not to be, not to people saying just try out once and not going to use it anymore. So in here, I have some data back to 2021, and
okay.
here, and we actually we asked us about the same question because we're trying to business, and
Of course.
this is we tried in 4 cities: Beijing, Guangzhou, Changsha, and Hangzhou. In these 4 cities, we give ride about 400,000 ride in there. After the 400,000 ride back in 2021, and we check out of the people be able to come back to try out the next month, the with about 39.3%. And then also the next month they continue increase. So which is, I thinking, is quite a lot of the customer and consumers, people stay in these platforms and to use this app and call their taxi. At least, consider this once their alternatively using other DD service or other service locally be available. As you mentioned about actually, as exploring this opportunity to do autonomous driving in different countries and different cities. And what I see is another thing is also, like you mentioned about it, actually in a population dense cities, you want to have bus, subways, so you can be able to move a lot of people from one location to next location. But also because of their diversified need, in China, similar as US too, you can find out that most of the people still like to drive their personal cars from one place to another place. So the car sharing, the vehicle sharing is very low. It's like a low digit of a little bit about 1. But with the mobility, we want targeting this one to move this number to be able to 2 or 3. So in this way, we can be able really forcing the sharing. By sharing, we actually bring another angle of the sustainability to be environmental energy safe. That's
Yeah,
a point I want to. So which is, I thinking in government point of view, this new of the technology coming will bring more of the consumers to be able to share and have better of the opportunity to make this society become more sustainable.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's again, we see that same thing, that the ride sharing is the way to sustainability, because, you know, I mean, there's no ride sharing with personal cars. In Princeton this morning, which is a school morning, the average vehicle occupancy in Princeton in cars was less than 1. The average vehicle occupancy in Princeton was less than 1. Why? You say, we have automated cars? No. We have a parent going from home, taking a kid to school and coming back home. For those 2 trips, the average vehicle occupancy is 0.5. There's only one valuable trip, the kid going to school. The other person that's in the vehicle might as well be your computer. Another, they don't count as a ride to society. No, the kid had to go to school. Chose to have so it's lesson 1. You look at the high occupancy lanes in California. Even if there are 2 people in there, average vehicle occupancy is essentially 1. The other person, they wouldn't have taken another car. They're being dragged along. Okay. It didn't take a car off the road to put it, you know, because there are 2 people, and it's a fiction. And so, yes, absolutely, these vehicles do have the opportunity with shared rides, because they can provide mobility in this space of operational design domain, origins and destinations served, and time. It's very sparse. Most of the time, there's just 1 person in there. You couldn't wait all day. Nobody else is going to go with them. Other places, there are opportunities to do that. So in fact, you know, you're absolutely right. This is something, and I guess I'd like to understand those 100 vehicles that you had operating, you know, how many shared rides have you had? How many people were you able to so far? Hey, I'm in such a dense area. Look, we got that. Please make that available, because if we understand that the kind of service that you're offering, forget the technology, it's a service. Anybody that's using this in the long run business, they're not going to care whether there's LiDAR, SchMIDAR, or whatever DAR's on there, or whose chat GPT is in there doing what. They're going to have to think that it's safe, or safe enough for them. And it's going to get them from where they are to where they want to go at a price that they're going to say, I love you. That's the business. And nobody wants to talk about that aspect of it. Nobody, very few people want to talk about it. And it's a shame, because this has the opportunity of being able to provide a service that the bus doesn't do it. And I've had to buy a car that is really expensive. And I'm too young to drive a car, so I can't even do that. Or I'm too old and I shouldn't. Or I'm too poor, I need to feed my family instead of this. To me, that's the business. And it seems as if that with your 100 vehicles, I hope you're seeing that is the business. This is the business that we think we have here in New Jersey.
Well, let's talk a little bit, Alain, about Baidu's plans in the United States.
I'd like to hear about
them.
it.
I want to
Are
bring
you going to
Jerry
come
in
to Jersey?
participate
Are
as
you going to
well.
come to Jersey? We'd love you to come to Jersey. We want you to come. We have
I think you
customers
made
for
that
you.
pretty clear. Let's hear from Helen.
Okay, great. Okay, give you another couple point of the data we have lately on the driverless service in Wuhan. Actually, we people at the one car at peak time can serve about 20 of the customers, 20 ride per day. So that's another target point you can be able to calculate it based on your calculation. Another thing is
we in Jersey, we would like you to be able to serve 100 rides a day. We think you do. We think that the target should be 100-person trips a day. Okay, because the productivity level at 100-person trips a day, the vehicle can cost almost anything you want, and the cost of the vehicle is almost zero.
Yeah.
Okay, and therefore you can go out there and afford to put out there a really competitive price, and you can beat DD, Lyft, and so on easily because they have to pay for a driver. Okay, you have a computer that you can run that thing out productivity wise such that boom, it costs. I mean, that's the beauty of computers. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Let's let Helen answer.
Yeah.
It was a good point. Yeah. So with back to the Wuhan region, we have this we starting the service actually now starting from the 7 a.m. to the 11 p.m. at nighttime, and then the region we currently covered have the population residency over 1.5 million of residents. So in this kind of way, we use this as tryout. So be able to have all the questions you just asked to hopefully getting all our answers, and then be able to see how we be test out of the proper, the profitability and the business model and how to commercialize it. And similar things for this year in Wuhan, we're actually targeting maybe have reach to 200 driverless vehicle. We continue gradually increase the size of the fleet operation and then providing more of the testing point as well as the commercialization data for us to be able to study how we be able to expand it, how we be able to use this knowledge to others. And I totally agree with you. Is the productivity mainly coming from to saying how we can be able to get more of the service per day and per vehicle. And if I can reach 100 rides per vehicle per day, that's amazing. That's actually the best we want to see. Yeah. Okay. Actually in Baidu Apollo, we mainly targeting the market in China currently. And we have a small fleet operation in US, in California for testing purpose. And we also try out in the local region. And so with that, I thinking, we hopefully, if someday we also can come to New Jersey. Yeah.
Well, we would love you to come to New Jersey because we think, at least some of us think, that we have places where you can start and be successful. Like at Trenton. It only has a population of 90,000 people, but it has an addressable market on a daily basis of something like for a service, something like 135,000 person trips a day. Addressable market in a low density area where you can have repeat customers. It's not a big area, so technologically it's not that tough. But to take this and start in a big area, being able to go from anywhere to anywhere, and then get yourself like GM and Waymo have gotten themselves in trouble in San Francisco. Why? Because, we wanted to do it at a hard place. The argument wasn't, hey, that's where we can really provide mobility. In fact, if you look at what GM did, Cruise, they offered service only at night, which is beautiful. Why? Because Mooney doesn't run at night. So that, you know, there's no public transportation service at night. And people who wanted to go from who knows where to who knows where at 2 o'clock in the morning, this is beautiful. Computers sitting around saying, hey, plus it's easier because all the crazies aren't out on the road and the kids aren't playing ball in the street. So it really is beautiful. They never got a chance to express that. San Francisco hasn't appreciated it. My goodness.
Well,
What a
Alan,
shame.
that's what we've talked about from the beginning here is that
Yeah.
providing this mobility when it's needed, where it's needed, people who really do have a need for it. Let's bring Jerry in for some comments and questions here too. Jerry?
Yeah. Okay, Jerry, jump in. Go ahead.
Hey, Helen. I think there are some unique aspects of Apollo's approach to autonomy. For one, you guys open source your open platform, I believe, a few years ago, which is pretty unique in this industry. So I was wondering if you can talk a little bit more about the rationale behind it and what's the reception in the developer community.
Oh yeah, that's great. Yeah, you know so much talk with Alain and Frank, and didn't even touch this. Yes, we actually that's the reason I joined Baidu because it's open source, and so it was really so the vision here, we want to have a win-win situation. We want to have this open society to bring the all the contribution from all the developers inside just closed door and in-house alone development. So with this way, we hopefully to be able to we have a lot of partners in education, in universities, and also startups, so they can start contributing here. And in this way, we thinking exactly like Alain earlier mentioned about, he's been in this field for 40 years. So this is not an easy task. And since the day one, we look at it, Baidu starting back to 2013, and then when we start working on it, we are already realized this is not a simple task. So we need all the talent globally to join in and to contribute in here. That's why we have this open platform. Yeah.
Yeah, let me just add a little bit on that. I think, one of the things that we've also argued is we need the openness to deal with the safety aspects of this, is that the industry has to cooperate on safety, not compete on safety. Because one person, if Baidu's unsafe, it ruins it for everybody. If Waymo's unsafe, it ruins it for everybody. If who knows whom is unsafe, they ruin it for everybody. So all the people in this field need to cooperate on safety. Now, in the US, we have a problem with cooperation and antitrust and, legal aspects associated with that. And it's a tough thing to do here in the US. But my goodness, we should absolutely be cooperating on safety. I mean, that's not competing on safety. And I think you agree with that. And you go even farther. You basically say, hey, look, here's what we do. And that's really valuable because sitting there and hiding one's mistakes or something like that and so on, and not allowing people, not having complete visibility in these things. I mean, one has to be able to gain trust from customers. It's amazing anybody gets into an airplane today. I mean, if you think of how safe airplanes were when people first got in, look what happened to dirigibles. It had one crash and it's goodbye to the whole thing. And that happened just not too far from here in Jersey, too, the Hindenburg explosion. Okay, completely, forget that. Forget those things. Ended it. And so, for this, we've already had one bad crash, which was Alain Hirschberg. And we've got to cooperate on safety because, boy, if you're perceived as not being safe, you don't have a chance of having a customer, right? I mean, it's not a chance.
We're running out of time with Helen.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, sorry. No, I love having Helen on here. I mean, we actually have somebody who knows what's going on. I mean, who's in it. I mean, we're all on the outside.
Jerry, maybe you have a couple more points you want to touch on, and then we can let Helen maybe kind of wrap up with what the grand
Yeah.
vision is
Yeah.
there, like
Yeah.
where we are today and where you see this in the next couple of years.
Yeah.
But
I just
Jerry?
have one quick question with regard to the hardware aspect. I understand Baidu is probably approaching it more on the software aspect, which is fundamental. It's fundamental to cut down the marginal cost of transportation because it scales. But hardware is also very important. So I'm just curious about the form factors that you're using right now and what's in the pipeline. I know you are collaborating with the Geely, with the Beijing Automobile Group, with a bunch of OEMs. So if you could tell us a little bit more about the business partnerships, but also the what you envision for what the future form factors would be for your robo taxis or your robo shuttles.
Okay, hi Jerry. It's a good question. Actually, for Baidu, we actually building up system, including the software and hardware, and so we want to use this new AI technology to be able to make auto driving ready. And for the hardware, actually, we're similar, using this high computing system, ruggedized, and be able handling, wide range of temperature range, and also we have this software built into on top of that one. And we have a lot of collaboration with the OEMs, and starting with our first generation of our vehicles, we collaborate with the ET, and we use HQ EV. And on the fifth generation, we're collaborating with the Beijing and ArcFox generation. And then for the sixth generation, we're starting to have a customized built in-house of the fully autonomous driving ready vehicle. So that's what we're working on. And actually in Baidu's business, we actually envision we going to have this overall control from the vehicle to the autonomous driving suite, with including the software and hardware and the variety of the compute and the variety of the sensors, and combine all together, then we can be able to deliver the safety to the society. And back to Alan's question, actually, safety is top priority. And with that one, exactly, we need these open platforms to be able to work all together. We need to bring all the smart people to work together to make sure this can be happened and to ensure all the safety to be able to deliver to the society. And as of the market as this stage, we see is a pre-competitive market. And all the players in the field globally, actually, we are working together to making the mobility as a business can be able to commercialize and viable to bring a new sector of the industry to the society. That's we work together.
You're doing the hardware and the software.
Mm-hmm.
You're bringing in the vehicle manufacturers
Mm-hmm.
and working together. The operator that you're who's going to oversee the service? Who's going to set the fares, set the service levels, set the whatever, and so on? Is that Didi? Is that who you look to work with, or are you going to? You think of franchising these things, or is Baidu going to become like a Didi and operate these? Who's operating them? Who do you see operating these at scale? Let's or wherever you're taking it. Okay, because you need that entity out there.
Yeah, it's a really good point. There are three players. So one thing is the autonomous driving autonomous driving technology provider, which is actually Baidu is dominating on this one. OEMs is vehicle, so we actually customize it. And then we also have another is the operation. Very good point. And currently, because our fleet operation is still in the early of commercialization stage, and we complete operating ourselves. And
sure, of course,
yeah, but as the evolving with new technology and evolving with the speed of adaptation in the commercialization, we actually open up to all the dimensions. If we can be able to deliver ourselves and meeting all the consumer need, and we'll develop in-house. If is growth is out of quickly and we actually open up to collaborations. I think as moving to the driverless operation, the operation is very, very unique compared to the traditional DD or Uber service. They actually
Yes.
have a lot of interaction with the drivers who is as operator to providing the service. Now, actually, you need to build up a team behind it to look at the operation. We also call them operation specialists, but maybe they are using the 5G technology and become a cloud driver to providing the command and operations and handle things. But it's very different compared to the traditional Uber and the DD service.
Helen, we want to thank you for spending time with us. Congratulations on all of the innovations taking place there and the work that you were involved in. And we look forward to following the progress. And maybe we'll see you out this way before long. Thank you for spending time with us.
Yeah, thank you so much for Fred and Alain and Jerry. It was great pleasure talking with you. And I'm so glad seeing more of the people still working in this field. And hopefully we will definitely make this one from a dream to be reality and bring mobility to the globally. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So as we kind of talked about a little bit, the 6th annual Smart Driving Car Summit is coming up, not very far away. Let's bring Jerry in to talk a little bit about that. What's on the agenda?
Yeah, a lot is on the agenda. The 6th summit, I'm speaking on behalf of Professor Kornhauser now, is going to be built up upon the successes from the previous 5 summits, including last year's in-person summit at Princeton. What we have always been wanting to do is to really scale autonomy to really unleash their societal benefits. In short, we wanted to make it happen. So we have a few themes for this year's summit. Scaling autonomy is one. We wanted to talk about the opportunities and challenges for the sustainable development of autonomous transit networks, robotaxis, autonomy. We wanted to talk about inclusive ACES, which means what we call accessible or automated, connected, electric, and shared mobility. We wanted to focus on the inclusive design aspect of how we can really use this new platform of technology to serve mobility for those who currently don't have enough mobility. We wanted to talk about automation today. We want to talk about driverless work vehicles. We want to talk about the latest progress of advanced driver assistance system, as well as how autonomy can be well used in places where there are less human present, in the cases of farming, trucking, agriculture, military, and ports, where we see tremendous value today for the application of autonomy. And we also wanted to talk about how we can future-proof 2030, talking about all the externalities, if you may say, or impacts of autonomy in our society. We want to talk about how we can address vehicle regulation, the insurance industry, the urban design and land use for driverless cities, as well as the changing automotive retail market. So there's a lot that we wanted to talk about. Fred.
Yeah, yes, there certainly is a lot that we want to do in that process. We do want to take a pause in a sense, because we're, as our discussions in the previous half hour have indicated, we're struggling to get started with the driverless mobility of people, and which is kind of our hope and our dream, and what we're all focused on, would like to see happen as a business, so it has an opportunity to continue on. Such it delivers a valuable ride that people are willing to pay for, and can survive in the brutal economic world ahead. And I think one of the things that we haven't done in the previous summits, we haven't focused enough on the successes with respect to automation, without drivers, driverless automation, with oversight by humans, of course, oversight by humans. I mean, these things aren't going to be really autonomous. I mean, in the true words of meaning of the word autonomy, they're not going to make their own decisions. There's going to be an operating entity. We just heard operating entity figuring out what to do with the vehicles and how to serve the customers, telling the vehicles what the heck to do. They're not going to do it themselves. They'll carry it out themselves, but they're not going to decide to go give Jerry a ride themselves. I mean, cut it out. But we've had enormous success, I believe, with respect to work vehicles on private property in places where, I guess we can argue that it's much easier to do it safely, because safety is a constraint here. We're struggling with safety to make it safe enough. But on private property, where you can basically put controls on what happens around these vehicles and address the safety things by really having a greater power or less care for the environment that they're operating. These vehicles are out there providing value to customers who are buying them, and value to OEMs who are building them, and I guess value to the suppliers who are supplying the secret sauce to the vehicles that go out and sell them. So we do want to spend some time understanding how these have succeeded in this marketplace, where the safety bar, let's just say it right on, is much lower. Okay. And let's see how those businesses have evolved and are doing. I mean, in mining, unbelievable. When we were at the Consumer Electronics Show, I mean, my goodness, Caterpillar's out there. They're like kid in candy store, selling their vehicles to entities who can take real advantage of that driverless operation, because it makes them economically better competitive. They're able to do the work that they need to do better than having a driver in there.
Right.
Really better.
You've mentioned mining and agriculture.
Mining, agriculture, the military. The military got us into this in the first place back in the DARPA challenges. And the military's out there doing it. In ports, warehouses. Sure, I guess, an Amazon warehouse might have 1,000, 2,000 employees. Or do they have a lot of automation in there, moving things from here to there at time T? If they didn't have that automation in there, who knows? They couldn't do it. They couldn't do it. And so, we're hoping to be able to bring at least the folks that have been so instrumental in building these things as businesses, both on the vehicle side and the operator side, as well as the provider side, the people who do the code for that. In these where the safety bar is lower, they've been able to achieve that safety bar. They're buying this stuff. Now,
and the return on investment is pretty clear too, isn't it? The return on investment is pretty clear.
It has to be. I mean, of course, these are listed companies.
Right.
They have stockholders, they have to go out there, they have to show, and they are, and apparently going gangbusters.
Jerry, tell us about where people can get more information and what the status is in terms of people being able to come out here for it?
Yeah, the details about the summit can be found on cartsmobility.com/summit. Very easy. And we are receiving a lot of interest from all sectors, all the sectors that I mentioned about before. And we are hoping to have a real great reconvening in beautiful May in Princeton, New Jersey.
Yep,
And it's the May
and
22nd through the 24th.
May 27th through the 24th, the format will be similar to what we've done in the past. The intent is to have discussion, because this is a discussion. This isn't a sales pitch presentation, whatever, but we would really like to understand both where the successes are and where the challenges remain, and how we take some of the successes and meet the challenges that we're facing in sort of, a piece that we're really, kind of committed to do is provide this mobility opportunity to people who we think will really benefit from it. Our continued look at opportunities in New Jersey and around the country in places to improve the quality of life of folks is substantive. And we have this safety floor that we have to achieve. And I guess we're doing a good job at it. We really don't have, there haven't been anything serious crashing, except everybody wants to write about, geez, a cruise vehicle went over a fire hose. Okay. All right. They can fix that, I think. That's fixable. Okay. But let's go and capture the mobility benefits of this, because these are mobility providers.
It's going to be a great summit once again.
I don't know. Maybe nobody will show up. Nobody wants to come to Jersey.
Alan, you always say that, and then they're here. So
I know.
We want to thank Helen Pan and Baidu for being so generous with their time with us today. Thank you to CARTS, the Corporation for Automated Road Transportation Safety, for helping to make this podcast possible. CARTS is a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to safe and high-quality mobility for all. And we want to thank Jerry He, the Executive Director, for spending time with us here today. You can find us at smartdrivingcar.com, also wherever you turn to for your podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, Amazon, Apple, Google, Spreaker. You can get smart speakers to play us too. You can find my tech reports at techstination.com. I'm Fred Fishkin, along with Alan Kornhauser. Thanks for listening or watching. Please continue to stay safe, and we'll see you in Princeton next month.